All right, so hey, people of God, this is Rashana B back with On My Way Up Movement, and I'm back with an awesome word. So I wanted to shed some light on some of you who are having some stubborn problems, or you seem to be in a really stubborn rough patch or rough period in your life, meaning like if it's not one thing, it's another. Okay, meaning like you jump out of the oven right into the frying pan, meaning like you just can't catch a break. You know, when it rains, it pours, and it's pouring on you, and it's been pouring for a little while, or maybe just a good while, and you don't understand why. Now, this is not for everybody, but this is for somebody. And what it is that you may have lost the favor of God upon your life. Now, you don't hear too many Christians talk about this, or too many truth seekers or believer in the word of God that will tell you that favor is conditional. Okay, when you look up and study the word favor, my definition of favor is basically walking into your blessings unhindered. You know, basically people are good to you and they don't even know why. Okay, you just seem to always kind of land on your feet. You kind of, seem to just, what some people will call you're lucky, but really you're just blessed and you have the favor of God. Well, that's conditional. According to Deuteronomy chapter 28, it's clear. It talks about you have to choose obedience in life. Okay, and then it gives you a clear distinction between a person's life who has chosen obedience and disobedience. You know, favor is something that God gives us all, and we can actually lose it. And I know me personally in my life, I can look at periods in my life when I was experiencing the favor of God, and I know the difference between, that and the time that I lost the favor of God. I encountered a lot of rejection, a lot of slammed doors, a lot of no's, a lot of poor reception from people, a lot of rudeness, ugly looks, ugly stares. It was like people just didn't like me. I mean, I didn't even know the person and they were rude to me, or would just overlook me, wouldn't help me, or attend to whatever issue I had. Like say, I was coming into, a restaurant or a building and I was looking for some sort of service, these people would just be rude to me, and it was like a dark cloud was on me. And I realized it was because the favor of God had left my life. And life just seemed harder than it had to be. It was just one hit after the other. Okay, I mean, like, just stuff that I knew this was spiritual. Like, of all people, that happened to me. Like, this isn't normal. And like I said, life was hard. It was dark. I was going through a lot of calamity, a lot of stress, a lot of it uncalled for. It was just happening. It didn't even seem like anything I was doing. It was like I just had a black cloud over me. Basically, like I was just having a streak of bad luck. And when I look at those periods in my life, I had to honestly evaluate what happened right before those periods in my life. And right before those periods in my life, what I noticed is that I was walking in iniquity. Okay, whether it was a relationship that God didn't want me in, whether I was in, sexual sin, whether I was walking in bitterness or unforgiveness, whether I was walking in disobedience, I was at a job that God didn't want me to be at, I was living somewhere that God had, explicitly told me he didn't want me there. Like I said, I was involved in a relationship or a friendship that God had gave me all the clear signs. Some of us, will ignore those clear signs. God is always speaking. Okay, and even if he's not speaking, he's still speaking because he's saying wait. Okay, but a lot of the times he's telling you no and he's telling you yes. Okay, and no's are when you just keep getting all the right signs or all the red flags that this situation or this person is a no-go, and you continue to walk into those things. Okay, and then you find yourself always losing, always taking hits while you're in the midst of whatever this circumstance, situation, or relationship is. And so that was what was going on with me. Every time it was clear when I was in the favor of God. Those were the times that I was living a very pure, clean, righteous life. walking in obedience, faithful in my prayer life, reading my word, just doing what was supposed to be done as a faithful servant of God. And then there were times that I fell off into things, I fell off into going back to the club. I fell off into, a relationship that God didn't sign off on. I was working at a certain job that God didn't want me working at, a certain workplace that God had shown me this isn't for you, but I took it because, I wasn't trusting in God to provide for me. And so I was working in this workplace and I was catching hell from supervisors and management, and I couldn't understand. Okay. And so this is why, I want you to just humble yourself and just honestly evaluate. So many of us will go through these periods of, not experiencing the favor of God, and we'll have a woe is me mentality, okay? And we'll be like, man, why is God letting this happen? God isn't listening to me. I think God is mad at me. Or some people will go as far as to say that God, isn't real. And the truth of the matter is that it's quite possible that you've stumbled into something that you had no business stumbling into. And until you come out of those things, you will suffer disfavor, which is the opposite of favor. So I want you all to evaluate that, okay? Because that was a really, really profound revelation that I got just recently. And I found myself saying, now that I have really, really gotten the revelation on why I went through, just extreme, distinctive highs and lows in my life that seemed sudden and dramatic. And I looked back, God, blessed me to be able to identify, blessed me with the revelation of my decision, that that actually catapulted me into those dark seasons, okay? And now it's like, okay, God, I've experienced what life is like without your favor. How hard and cruel and cold and dark and hopeless that it can feel when your favor is not with me, and it's like now I'm in a place where, I am experiencing the favor of God, and it's like I can't forfeit it for anything or anybody. But I had to get that revelation. God had to open my eyes. I'm at a place now where I was ready to receive that and humbly admit, that it wasn't anything, not that I ever thought it was anything that God was doing. I just didn't know exactly what was going on, how my life would take complete, dramatic plunges and things of that nature. And so I wanted to share with somebody who's on this platform that may be experiencing the same thing. I want you to think about what happened. What decisions did you make? What did you change? What did you start? Okay. Or what did you stop doing right before your life just took this downward plunge? Okay. And you started experiencing, a life that lacked God's favor, which is a life of just distress after stress, calamity after calamity, torment, and just basically one thing after another, just taking hits. So people of God, I hope that this word bless you. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and tell me what you all think about my content, and I'll be back with another word.